Last time we talked about how Sanssouci's original Sanssouci was in Baikal. That was a place where David Sassoon resided. That place has now become Messina Hospital. And even now, if you go to Messina Hospital, you can see the amazing architecture that is there. What is also interesting is Baikal had changed because of David Sassoon in many, many ways. He had a huge amount of land next to Messina Hospital, and that is the land he gave to the city of Bombay for making a zoo.
Yeah.
There was a museum there next to the zoo, which is now the Bhavdaji Museum, which many people contributed money to. And then beyond that, he built the Jewish colony. He built the Jewish school. Hume School is there. And again, you have the synagogue. The biggest synagogue in Bombay is the one at Baikal.
The David Magan.
The David Magan. And next to that is a police station. Even the architecture of the police station is beautiful.
Yeah.
And very coincidentally, next to the school that David Sassoon built, which is a vocational school, you also had the Aga Khan is coming in and building a school there, a vocational school there. And next to it was a textile mill. And I don't know whether many people know about it. But David Sassoon built the first textile mill there. Then he built another. In Bombay, Greater Bombay in those days. In Bombay, he built 17 textile mills, accounting for 60% of the population, working population. That man created wealth in Bombay. And then, of course, you had amalgam of all kinds of communities. You had the Jews, you had the Muslims, you had the Christians with their own church, Gloria Church. I would like you to talk about all this amalgam and how the potpourri came up.
So, though the Jews gave it a kickstart,
yes,
we had a lot of different communities that came in. You can see the architecture of Mazgaon and Baikal. Baikal was the richer part of Mazgaon.
Okay.
The Mazgaon was one of the islands of Bombay. So when you say the 7 islands, Mazgaon
was one of them, yes.
And Baikal was the rich suburb.
It was a rich suburb, yes.
Also because of the Jews that made it rich. But there's not one architectural style that you can, look at in Mazgaon, because it's got a varied amount of architecture. You have the Hasnabad, which is there, which the Aga Khanis built. It's the mausoleum of the Aga Khan, and it's the mini Taj, and it's absolutely stunning. And it's just behind Messina Hospital. Between the two of these buildings, you have the bags that are there. The Parsis built the Bagh, so Rustam Bagh is there. Jair Bagh is right close by as well.
The Parsis also really consolidated the whole there.
Consolidated theirs. You go a little further down, and there are these lovely Koli temples that you will find. And then you have, of course, Gloria Church, which is actually now a Gothic building. But the older Gloria Church was a Portuguese building. And that was actually a white-colored church.
Okay.
That was then renovated to make a Gothic church, and that's why you think that it's a Christian church. But essentially, it was a Portuguese church.
Okay.
And then you go a little further. You have Saint Anne's Church,
yes,
which is right off Nesbitt Road, where St. Mary's School is. So I'm from St. Mary's, and I've been going to Mazgaon all my life.
What a lovely building those two buildings are.
4 buildings. I'm going to correct you because it's got 3 Gothic buildings and 1 Renaissance building.
Yes.
No, I think because it's so beautiful, and
yes,
I think that's what's inspired my architectural language.
Oh, wow.
As well. And it was built on a plot that Lady Nesbitt owned, and then you had a chapel, which then became a church, which is Saint Anne's Church. So you have an amalgamation. You go ahead, and then you have Mathar Kapadi, which is a lovely little East Indian village. So the South Bombay villages are Kotachi Wadi, and then Mathar Kapadi is one of them. Again, lovely Indo-Portuguese houses. Again, the same Indo-Portuguese East Indian community and everything that goes with the village or enclave, as I like to call it. And then when you go further down, you have, of course, the port. So you have a lot of Chinese that resided there.
Oh, Chinese there. Okay, I didn't know that.
So you have the only Chinese temple that's there in Mazgaon. The reason that you have a Chinese temple is that there was a large Chinese population in Bombay till 1971, because the British, the way they invited the Jews to do business with them, as well as the Parsis, they knew that the Chinese were very hardworking people. They knew that they had an eye for detail when it came to shipbuilding. And that's why they invited a lot of these Chinese to come and stay in Bombay. And all of them stayed near the docks. And that is why you had the Chinese temple right besides the docks that were created.
And that is how the Mazagon Dock, which we even today shipbuilding for the
Yes.
Navy, continues.
Absolutely. And then, of course, then you have Darukhana. Right
Yes.
beyond the Chinese enclave, you have Darukhana, where all the shipbuilding, the ships were broken at Darukhana.
Which
And-
is why all the fabricators are there.
Absolutely.
Whether it's aluminum fabricators or metal fabricators, all kinds of metal fabricators are there.
Yes. And if you go there, you'll realize Darukhana was not because of alcohol, but because of gunpowder. Because you needed gunpowder for the shipbuilding. And
Yes.
that's the reason that it was called Darukhana. So when it comes to the architecture of Mazgaon, it's so varied that it's difficult to say what is the dominant style of architecture. And Baikla, as you were saying, and even Mazgaon has all grown because of the port. So anyone who's in the business industry would be living around that area. And if you see the facades also of the buildings are all really rich facades.
Because all the wealth that came to Bombay started from Baikula.
Absolutely.
David Sassoon, the
Yeah.
Aga Khanis,
Yeah.
everyone brought the first money in Baikula, and then it spread everywhere. Which is a good place from where you can get a vantage view of the port and the whole of Baikula.
So I think one of my favorite, of course, see, Baikla has a lot of these hills that keep coming up and down
Yes.
towards the back. But I think the best place to get a view of the port is the John Baptist Garden, which was Bombay's reservoir. It's got the 7 wonders of the world. So if you want to show someone the 7 wonders of the world cheaply, then the best place is to go to that garden. You don't need to travel the world.
Okay.
But it's a really beautiful garden. And that's where actually that hill is where all the mountains, all the bungalows, all the mansions were, because you could actually get a view of the entire port. And then beyond that, you could actually get the
See
view
the-
of Colaba.
Colaba
So
and
you
the
could-
sea.
And the sea beyond that. So that was actually the vantage point of the city. That is also where Mazgaon Fort was. And if you remember, we were talking of this, I think, in the first episode, where the Portuguese actually built all these forts because they were actually looking beyond into the sea. They were not worried about what happened on land, and they were worried more about protecting their seas. And that's why they built all these
The
forts.
seas is where the money came from. They wanted
Yeah.
the taxes from every ship that came along.
Absolutely. And that is why all these islands have a fort.
Yes.
And Mazgaon Fort, unfortunately, there are no remains of the fort. If you
Where was
Google,
the fort? Where was the fort?
that is where fort was where the John Baptista Garden or the reservoir was. So that was where
that was a
that was
lookout
where
point.
Mazgaon
That was
Fort
the lookout
is.
point.
So that
Was there a cannon there too? Must have.
not too sure, but I think they all had cannons.
Must have been.
all the Portuguese forts had a cannon.
Yes.
And I think even the British had a lot of cannons, but they all used the cannons for welcoming people.
They used them to welcome people and shoot at other kings.
At
They
Chutana.
were
True.
land-oriented cannons and not sea-oriented cannons.
Absolutely. But so Mazgaon is a mixed bag. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what building is going to come and what history Mazgaon has.
Even today, Mazgaon Bhaikula is a place where you can stumble across the Chor Bazaar.
Yeah.
You can stumble across the new mosque that is coming up in the SBUT,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful air-conditioned mosque.
Yes.
What a lovely place it
It's
is.
fascinating. And the food there as well.
And the food.
Yeah.
And that is a place where if you start moving around that area, you even have a Turkish bath.
Absolutely.
But it's a lovely place. It's a place that you could walk and discover new things all the time.
Yeah.
You have made me remember parts of Bombay I'd forgotten. Thank you.